back to the channel, and yeah, another game that was quite dire to watch. I'm not going to hide away from it. I'm wondering already what the comments section will be like. We came off the back of a 4-0 win, which I thought we were really poor in, and the comments were slating me for being a Rangers fan in disguise, and were slating me for being far too negative towards what was a 4-0 win. Today, we narrowly beat St Johnstone 2-1, which I predicted correct, by the way. I think most of what I said actually came to fruition in this game. We narrowly beat St Johnstone 2-1. I don't think there's a lot of room for positives, and to be quite frank, I'm still rather numb towards actually winning games at the minute. Celtic are not giving us a lot to be excited about. That is the reality, and I think that, of course, the biggest part of that is the fact that we are so far behind Rangers. But even on the park, the performances, they're lacklustre, they're poor, we are relying heavily on players to pull us out the mud. Today, once again, was a game that at half time I was like, Christ almighty, what am I watching? But then when we go down 1-0, you're thinking to yourself, we have become a shadow of ourselves. And it's the same, it's so repetitive, it's the exact same thing, game in, week out, game in, game out. You know, we're a shadow of ourselves, we can't cope. Teams are making us look like we should be a bottom half side at times. And St Johnstone today, yes, this is what I won't get though. This is what I don't get. I can already see the amount of comments flooded in saying, oh, they had one shot on target and it happened to go in. The manner of how we conceded it, and the manner of how we played leading up to that goal as well, throughout the entire, first 50 odd minutes of the game, we didn't deserve to be in a position of winning. St Johnstone went and got that chance. They took that chance. We are very, very poor. And that's the reality at the minute. I don't see anything changing unless we make this change, and as time goes on, I'm getting more worried that Lennon will actually be here next season. But today, the performance, look, and once again, and let me reiterate a point that I didn't make very clear at the start of the last episode, or the last 3 things we learned. I didn't see it off the bat, and people automatically are assuming I'm disappointed to see Celtic win games. I'm very happy we've got the 3 points today. I'm glad that once again we've won. That's now 4 in the bounce. Edouard has scored 6 games in a row. Yes, I'm happy about these things, but in terms of the performance, and in terms of talking about and analysing the game, and in terms of what I expect to see of Celtic moving forward, I still don't see any clear path. I don't see a vision in the team. That goes for everything today. We'll get on to that, the 3 things we learned. I don't think that performance gives it me any right, and once again, there are so many people who are like-minded. There's so many people who would agree with me in what I'm saying right now, and I know there are people who don't agree. Once again, you're entitled to your own opinion. I respect your opinion, but from that performance today, and I think many people would agree, there is no route for me that I can see Celtic going down. It doesn't make me go. It doesn't fill me with confidence for the next game. I still don't, I still don't think that there's a guaranteed win in the next game. We're not showing that. We're not entertaining. We don't look as though we have drive. It was really lacklustre once again today. Right, before we get into the 3 things we've learned, let's talk about the game as we always do from start to finish. I feel like at this part I can actually add some structure in instead of just rambling on. The game opens up, and once again, let's just talk about the first half in general. There's not really any bits to break down specifically. It was a very boring 45. I was quite happy to hear the half-time whistle go, in fact. It was one of those, once again, I said it against St Mirren, every sort of 10-minute mark, there was nothing you could really analyse or break down from that 10-minute period, and it had 10, 20, 30 minutes. There was nothing much to talk about. Celtic got a couple of chances. Rogic, I think, coming the closest with a shot cleared off the line, but you take away that, there was nothing exciting there. St Johnstone done exactly what I expected them to do, and it was set up in a manner that would frustrate Celtic, and you could see that. And I think but in the first half, we were very guilty of aimlessly humping the ball up the park and expecting the best. You've seen it a lot I see it a few times from Brown, from Duffy. There was passes that were just going absolutely nowhere and giving it right away to the opponent. And a lot of people used to complain back in the day when Rodgers was manager. There was so many complaints of this side-to-side passing football and how it was boring. I would absolutely kill for the side-to-side passing football right now than humping it up the park and giving it away to the opposition, because it is so much worse right now. I would take the side-to-side back. At least with that, it was a distinct style. It broke teams down. We got goals, and it allowed us to be entertaining when it wore teams out. Lumping up the park suits the other teams perfectly. They love it. So at the first half there wasn't a lot to talk about. Second half, as we said, we go down 1-0, and the manner of how we concede that goal once again just highlights all the issues at Celtic at the moment. It's a poor goal to concede. There's 2 men on Rooney. 2 men. Two, and not one deals with it. And then you've got Duffy, who's maybe marking near post and can't get to it. Now, McGregor and Taylor, I know aren't the biggest guys in the world, but the way they go up for the ball is pathetic. And once again, we just can't defend cross balls. We see it every single week. Just do it. Every team that plays us is looking to play it out wide and then get a cross ball in, because we can't deal with it. And they go up 1-0. And to be honest, at that point, I wasn't expecting us to come back into the game, but the big man, the man himself, odds on Edouard, single-handedly saving Neil Lennon and Celtic once again. What a player. And I'll let Rio Ferdinand say it best in his words. His words are, put the contract on the table, let him put down whatever figures he wants for what he's done at this club. Let him just do it. I know it's not going to happen, realistically. He's going to be gone in the summer. I've accepted that fact. It's making me sad. Don't worry, Valentine's Day is ruined with that thought. But, you know, we need to try, at least, I think, to put a contract down somehow. But he saves us. 1 goal, brilliant. 2 goals, even better. And it's 6 games in the bounce. And once again, for the man who's had a very poor season, and for the man who hasn't been quite the player that he has been of past seasons, still comfortably the best striker in Scotland, and still comfortably the best player in Scotland. And no disrespect to Rangers, who are flying away with the title this year, but there is no one in his level, and I'll stick by that no matter what happens. He is just unbelievable, Odson Edouard. Unbelievable. And 2 goals further on today is good for him, but you know, it doesn't change our season. Still been a disappointment. But aye, fantastic from him. But you know, one thing I want to touch on will be in the 3 things around Ryan Christie. Such a frustrating player, such a very frustrating player, and we'll come on to that. Let's get into the 3 things we've learned. First thing, Ryan Christie. What a frustrating player. Just to carry on and segue nicely from my last point. Look, Ryan Christie today in the first half was just driving everybody, not just me, insane. Once again, I've seen the Christie of let's try and shoot aimlessly from 30 yards out and hope it does something and ends up in the stands. Christie, I just don't get him, because he goes on to the second half and he gets those 2 assists, and look, I will happily take the criticism from Celtic fans for trying to back Christie up and praising Ryan Christie here, but he does really well for both those goals. He does superbly, in fact, and it carries on from the last game against St Mirren. You know, the way he came on off the bench and assisted, I think it was the 4th goal in that game. He done so well, the way he took the ball. Technically, he was so composed. It looked, you know, world class, the way that he controlled the ball. And today as well, with his assist onto Edouard, once again, it looks class. It just, you know, the way that he brings the ball and it brings it down and then opens up the play. But, you know, it's one of those ones, does it cancel out how frustrating he is in the game? It annoys me with Christie. I have always been such a big critic of Christie on this channel. He's been someone who's always annoyed me. But, you know, the assists showing that he gets today shows how good he can be. I don't know how we're going to get this shooting 30 times a game out of him. If you take that out of his game, or at least you give him, or you put him in a position as a player that scores goals and takes chances, he would be so much better. It's just so frustrating. That's the first thing that I learned from today's game. The second thing that we learned, I'm going to steal this one from what is a majority of opinions on Twitter. I've seen so many people say this so far, but it's something that has to be said, it has to be spoken about. If it wasn't, and we've kind of touched on it, we've talked about Edouard, if it wasn't for Edouard, we could have generally been a bottom half team this year. It's unbelievable how many times he has single-handedly saved Neil Lennon, not just this season, but when you think back to February 2019 onwards, he was vital. He was huge. If you took Edouard out of there, would we have went on to win the league? I mean, Rangers did collapse, to be fair, but, you know, the more we look at it now, it's scary to think that, and for as much as I might have been praising the team and Neil Lennon at the time, you know, it's crazy to think how much influence Edouard has on this team. He is single-handedly keeping all sort of, I say all sorts of happiness. The slight bit of happiness I have watching Celtic alive, it's him single-handedly that's keeping it there. Edouard is just unbelievable. I don't need to say much else. I already have spoken about my thoughts on Edouard in this video alone, never mind the months and months and months of footage of me doing it on YouTube. But this man has single-handedly probably kept us at second place. He is saving Neil Lennon at the minute. He is saving Celtic season at the minute. I'm saying saving Celtic season. Celtic season's down the fucking pan, but he is keeping some form of positive there around it. So aye, Big Eddie, what a guy, absolutely love him. The game was that boring, I don't even think I have a third thing that we learned. Christie's annoying, Edouard's class. That was pretty much the story of the game, to be quite honest. Like, genuinely, if you were to sit down and ask anyone, what happened to the game if Christie done a heat in and Edouard was class? That is generally, I think, the words that you would get out of their mouth. Third thing, let's just get back to the basics. Lennon out, lads. Lennon out. That's the third thing we've learned. We're not good enough. We aren't. And I know I'm going to get those same comments about, oh, you're daft, you're a Rangers fan in disguise, hurry up and smile, we won the game, it's all about winning, it's a mark of champions, blah, blah, blah. Comments about cruise control. There's no such thing as cruise control when you can't do anything with the ball. It doesn't matter how much you hold it. You've got to do something, you've got to entertain, it's not cruise control. Imagine St Johnstone managed to keep the ball in the corner for 90 minutes. You wouldn't say that's cruise control. So yeah, well now, that's how I'm ending the video today. Very nice. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Let's get to 25k, and we'll see what we're saying after the next game. Can't wait. See you next time.